Okay, welcome back to the Explainer. So think about the last 3 years, right? We've all been completely obsessed with AI that talks. It drafts our emails, it summarizes our endless meetings, it even writes our code. But today, we need to soberly unpack a massive incoming shift. We're transitioning to AI that actually does things. We're talking about world model readiness and figuring out, honestly, whether your operation is genuinely prepared for an AI that acts.
Let's dive right into this fundamental split. Basically, we're moving from the era of book-smart AI to street-smart AI. Your current large language models, they're essentially just predicting the next word. They describe, they summarize, they explain. But world models, they predict the next state. They look at a messy, unpredictable environment and anticipate what's going to stay stable, what's going to move, and crucially, what will break if a physical or digital action is taken. It's literally the monumental leap from describing a problem on paper to anticipating the actual real-world fallout of trying to fix it.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the shift from describing to acting, break down what world models actually are, confront the real dangers of taking action, and look at the reality gap in the tech right now. Then we'll walk through a readiness diagnostic so you can adopt a posture of preparedness instead of, panic.
Starting off with Section 1, from describe to act. Before we look forward, we really have to recognize what we're leaving behind.
As I mentioned, for 3 years, AI has been undeniably book-smart. Most organizations today are what we call LLM native. You've spent years wiring up chatbots, drafting assistants, all those summarization tools. And because of this, we've kind of been conditioned to assume that AI merely suggests things, right? While a human is the ultimate safeguard who actually clicks the button. But here's the kicker. Almost nobody is structurally ready for models that invert that assumption. Models that act, execute, and actually anticipate the consequences of those executions.
Moving to Section 2, what are world models? The crucial point here is understanding what's actually happening under the hood.
Put simply, a world model is an AI system that builds an internal representation of how an environment actually works. It predicts how that environment will change in response to actions. Now, I know that sounds super academic, but the stakes are very real. Think of it like this. It's the difference between an AI that can read a manual and tell you how to fix a broken pipe versus an AI that inherently knows exactly what's going to happen to the water pressure in the rest of the building the split second it turns a specific valve.
And this isn't just typical tech media hype. The money and talent flowing into this is undeniable. Just look at the timeline. August 2025, Google's Genie 3 starts generating interactive 3D worlds in real time. By late 2025, AI pioneer Yann LeCun left Meta to found MI Labs, raising roughly $1 billion explicitly to build world models. $1 billion! And by early 2026, with Meta's Vijay Pa and Fei Li's World Labs, pretty much every major AI lab had made this their primary focus. The shift is already happening, right now.
Now, right now, the research basically splits along two distinct paths. On one side, you have the understand approach. These are models trying to compress the messy real world into internal states. On the flip side, you have the predict and generate lineage, models trying to simulate the future in pixel-perfect detail. They are very different approaches, sure, but they are both aggressively driving toward the exact same destination. And what is that destination? It's vision language action systems. These are systems that can perceive their environment, whether physical or digital, completely understand a stated goal, and then actually execute a task to achieve it. Picture an AI that looks at an assembly line, spots a flawed part, and physically removes it without ever being explicitly programmed to do so. Or an AI that audits your entire cloud infrastructure, finds a glaring vulnerability, and just rewrites the permissions itself. Pretty wild, right?
Let's jump to Section 3, the danger of action, because this perfectly explains why this matters for your operations today.
Just ask yourself this one simple question. What happens when the AI is the one actually clicking the buttons? You absolutely unequivocally do not want an AI acting at lightning speed if it fundamentally lacks an understanding of cause and effect. Action without accurate prediction is pure liability.
There's this quote that I think just cuts right through all the hype noise. An LLM that writes a wrong sentence wastes a minute. A grounded agent that takes a wrong action in your operation breaks something real. It's so true. The stakes are entirely different now. We aren't just editing a bad first draft anymore, we are managing potential real-world operational damage.
All right, Section 4, the reality gap. Before we go ripping up our existing infrastructure in a total panic, we need to rigorously calibrate against reality. The reality is, these systems are incredibly data-hungry and compute-heavy. We see these clean, viral successes in highly constrained environments all the time, like an AI navigating a video game or dominating a chess, but they are still profoundly struggling with basic physical reasoning outside of those clean little bubbles. Like an AI can beat a video game millions of times in an hour, but ask that same AI to figure out how to untangle a messy pile of cables on a factory floor, it completely freezes. The messy, chaotic reality of a real-world supply chain is still a massive, unsolved gap.
This is why any useful diagnostic for your operations must be completely hype-aware. Think about the actual state of the tech today. Roughly 50% of the success we're seeing is isolated to those clean simulations. Another 30% of the progression is blocked by fundamental hardware and compute limitations. And a glaring 20% reality gap remains totally unsolved. So anyone screaming that you need to completely transform your physical infrastructure tomorrow, they're just selling you fear. We have to be rigorously honest about what's actually solved and what isn't.
Which brings us nicely to your operational solution in Section 5, the Readiness Diagnostic.
So instead of asking a superficial question like, hey, do we have a chatbot? This structured diagnostic asks if you are fundamentally equipped for AI that acts. First up, data. Do you have telemetry and video, the actual observational record of your business, or just a bunch of dusty PDFs? Second, representability. Are your core processes even predictable enough to be mapped out as states a model could learn? If your process is a chaotic mess for humans, a world model won't magically fix it. Third, oversight. Can you actually provide real supervision to a fast-acting system, or is your human oversight just going to be, theatrical button clicking? And finally, provider agnosticism. Can you adopt a new model without being hopelessly locked into one single vendor? These are the foundational questions that separate true readiness from mere wishful thinking.
But hey, let's be radically honest with ourselves here. Any diagnostic out there right now comes with some heavy caveats. This is an incredibly fast-moving target that's going to require continual revision. True readiness is really hard to measure and, frankly, very easy to fake with comforting dashboard metrics that don't actually mean anything. So treat this diagnostic as an early positioning tool, and just know that any snapshot you take today is absolutely going to need to evolve as the technology matures.
Finally, Section 6. Posture, not panic. How should a smart leader actually react to this incoming wave? Your operational North Star moving forward should simply be this: readiness is posture, not panic. It's the concept of edit by subtraction applied directly to a massive hype cycle. The goal isn't to frantically chase every single demo or shiny new announcement you see on social media. No, the goal is to subtract the noise, ignore the vaporware, and identify the few, vital developments that actually warrant a real change in your strategic posture.
Tactically speaking, this all comes down to local-first, provider-agnostic adaptability. Your operation must rely on owning your own world data rather than renting your view of reality from some third-party tech giant. If you're locked into a single provider's ecosystem, you are fundamentally unready for a shift in how models operate. Adaptability without lock-in, that's the entire game right there.
And with that, this readiness diagnostic places the 18th and final node on our portfolio constellation. It's the capstone product in this series built explicitly for the very real future we are entering right now. A future where AI doesn't just draft your emails, but physically and digitally acts.
Now, tomorrow, in our grand finale, we're finally going to reveal the single unifying thesis underneath all 18 of these products. But for now, I want to leave you with a real challenge. Stop worrying about which model is the smartest at chatting. Instead, take a hard look at your organization and ask yourself, are we truly ready for what models are about to become? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the finale.